Welcome to Reality Stories, where stories do come alive. Please subscribe and share with friends. Now relax and enjoy the story. The rain was falling hard that Thursday afternoon. Streets were flooded. People rushed for cover, and the sky was a dark shade of gray. Clarissa stood at the entrance of her fashion store, arms crossed, staring at the storm. She had just finished scolding one of her workers for delivering a customer's dress late when her eyes caught movement across the road. A small figure sat huddled by the wall, her back pressed to the cold concrete, completely drenched. Her clothes clung to her thin body, and her hair was plastered to her face. She looked about 15. Customers and pedestrians passed her like she was invisible. Clarissa frowned. "Who leaves a child out in this kind of rain?" she murmured to herself. She turned to her assistant. "Sandra, bring me an umbrella." A few seconds later, Clarissa was crossing the road, her heels splashing in muddy water. She stopped in front of the girl. "Hey," she said softly. The girl looked up, her eyes red but alert. "I'm sorry. I won't steal anything, please." "I didn't say you stole anything," Clarissa replied, kneeling beside her. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated. Bella. "Bella, that's a beautiful name." Clarissa offered a kind smile. "Where's your home?" Bella's lips trembled. "Nowhere. I stay by the bridge. Sometimes the orphanage gives food, but they send me away." Clarissa's heart squeezed. She looked into Bella's eyes, deep brown and tired. But there was something else there. Something that made her heart pause. "I looked into her eyes," Clarissa would later tell her best friend, "and saw pain, but also something hauntingly familiar." "Come with me," Clarissa said, rising. "You can't stay out here." Bella shrank back. "No. People don't just help for nothing. I'm not people. I'm Clarissa." Bella stared at her for a few seconds, as if searching for a lie in her face. Then slowly, she took her hand. Clarissa wrapped a dry shawl around Bella's shoulders and took her inside the store. Customers turned to look, but no one said a word. "Hot tea," she told Sandra, "and get one of those extra dresses we keep for fittings." Clarissa led Bella into the staff room. Bella sat on a small bench, shivering. "You hungry?" Clarissa asked. Bella nodded silently. Clarissa brought a plate of jollof rice and fried chicken left from lunch. Bella hesitated, then devoured it quickly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Easy, darling," Clarissa said softly. "You'll choke." "I haven't eaten in 2 days," Bella whispered. Clarissa sat beside her, watching her eat. "You have no parents?" Bella looked down. "They died a long time ago. I was a baby." Clarissa sighed. "Where's this orphanage you mentioned?" "It's called St. Agnes Shelter. But they're full, and I kept running away." Clarissa raised a brow. "Why?" Bella's voice dropped. "One of the men there, he touched girls. The madam said we were lying." Clarissa's chest tightened. "Oh, Bella." Bella wiped her eyes quickly. "I can go back to the bridge if you want. I didn't mean to bother you." Clarissa reached out and gently held her hand. "No, you're not going back to the streets. Not tonight. You'll stay with me." Bella's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Clarissa said with a soft smile. "Just for now, until we figure something out." That night, Clarissa took Bella to her home in the Leckie suburbs. It was a quiet, well-secured estate. Marcus, her husband, was in the living room, scrolling through his phone and watching football. He looked up as they entered. "Who's that?" he asked, eyes narrowing. Clarissa removed her heels and replied, "Her name's Bella. I found her outside the shop in the rain. She has nowhere to go." Marcus stood up, visibly annoyed. "So you brought her here? To our house?" "She's a child, Marcus," Clarissa replied firmly. She was soaked, hungry and cold. Marcus glanced at Bella, who stood quietly behind Clarissa, holding the dress she had been given like it was made of gold. "You can't just pick children off the street, Clarissa. This isn't a shelter." Clarissa's voice softened. "It's just for a few nights. I'll sort out soon." Marcus rubbed his temples. "This house is not the place for strays." Bella looked down. Clarissa turned sharply. "She's not a stray, Marcus. She's a girl, a human being." There was a long silence. Then Marcus exhaled and walked away. Do what you want. Later that night, Clarissa helped Bella settle into the guest room. It was simple but cozy, with a soft bed and a small wardrobe. This is your room for now, Clarissa said, handing her a towel. Take a bath. You'll sleep well tonight. Bella looked around in disbelief. This is too much. You don't even know me. Clarissa smiled. I don't need to know everything to care. Bella hesitated, then whispered, Thank you, Ma. Clarissa paused. Call me Clarissa. Bella nodded. Over the next few days, Bella slowly adjusted. She helped with small chores, washed dishes without being asked, and read the books Clarissa gave her. She was intelligent, polite, and always eager to help. One morning, as Clarissa was sipping her coffee, she watched Bella from the balcony. The girl was watering her plants and humming softly. She's a sweet girl, Clarissa said aloud. Behind her, Marcus spoke coldly. Too sweet? It feels off. Clarissa turned. What's that supposed to mean? Marcus shrugged. She behaves like she's trying too hard, like she's hiding something. Clarissa frowned. She's a homeless teenager, Marcus. Of course she's trying hard. Marcus took a sip of his juice. Just don't get too attached. Clarissa looked at him. You don't even look at her properly. You haven't asked her a single question. Why are you so uncomfortable? He didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, She reminds me of someone. That's all. Clarissa tilted her head. Who? Marcus hesitated. No one important. But Clarissa didn't miss the flicker in his eyes. The slight panic. The way he quickly turned and walked away. That night, Clarissa sat alone in the kitchen, staring at a framed photo on the wall. It was an old picture of her and her younger sister, Tina. Tina had died many years ago under tragic circumstances. Clarissa rarely spoke of her. She looked at the photo, then thought of Bella's eyes. That same quiet sadness. That same depth. Clarissa shook her head, dismissing the thought. It can't be, she whispered. Still, something inside her had started to stir. Meanwhile, Bella sat on the edge of her bed, holding an old, torn photograph she kept hidden in her bag. It was a photo of a woman, smiling beautiful. She ran her fingers over it gently, then whispered, I think I found her. The morning sun poured gently through the curtains as Clarissa prepared for her day. Bella had already woken up, dressed, and was quietly folding laundry in the corner of the living room. She had quickly become a quiet help around the house. Clarissa moved to the hallway where her gallery wall stood. Framed memories of her life lined the cream-painted walls. Family trips, birthday parties, graduation pictures. She adjusted one of the frames slightly and smiled. Bella, she called gently, can you pass me that cloth on the table? I want to clean the dust here. Yes, Ma, Bella answered, bringing the cloth. But her eyes fell on one of the pictures, and she froze. Clarissa noticed a change instantly. Are you okay? She asked, following Bella's gaze. Bella's eyes were locked on an old photograph of two young women. They looked happy, laughing, with cake on their faces. One of them was Clarissa, her face barely aged. The other was a beautiful woman with thick curly hair and warm, bright eyes. That was my sister, Clarissa said, watching Bella. Tina. She passed away many years ago. Bella didn't answer. Her hands trembled slightly. Clarissa placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Bella? I've seen her before, Bella whispered, almost as if talking to herself. What did you say? Clarissa asked, but Bella shook her head quickly. Nothing. I think I'm just confused. Clarissa watched her walk away quickly into the kitchen. Later that evening, Clarissa walked into the living room to find Bella standing in front of the same picture again. This time, Bella didn't know she was being watched. Her eyes were wide and teary. She reached out slowly, tracing Tina's face with her finger. Clarissa quietly stepped forward. Bella flinched and turned around fast, wiping her eyes. I didn't mean to, she began, but Clarissa raised a hand. It's okay. You can look. You just surprised me, that's all. Bella nodded slowly, her voice shaky. She used to come to the orphanage. Clarissa's heart skipped. What did you say? Bella kept staring at the photo. That woman, your sister? I think she used to come to St. Agnes shelter. A long time ago. She brought food sometimes. Books too. But she always cried when she left. Clarissa felt dizzy for a moment. She placed a hand on the wall to steady herself. Are you sure it was her? Bella nodded. I was very small, but I never forgot her face. She always gave me a red sweet before leaving. One time, she hugged me so tight and told me, "You are loved, even if no one says it." Clarissa's voice shook. That sounds like Tina. She came only a few times. Then she stopped. I waited, but she never came again. Clarissa's throat felt tight. Tina never told her she visited any orphanage. She looked back at the photo. The smile, the warmth. Clarissa whispered, "Why didn't she tell me?" Bella looked up. She was kind. Like you. Clarissa forced a smile. Come, let's go eat dinner. But even as they walked to the dining room, Clarissa's mind was spinning. Why was Tina visiting an orphanage? Why did Bella remember her so clearly? Why was her presence stirring something deep and painful? It was past 11 p.m. Clarissa couldn't sleep. She sat in bed, reading an old magazine and trying not to think too much about Tina or Bella. Marcus had gone downstairs earlier, saying he needed to make a few calls. She sighed and got out of bed, decided to check if he had locked the back door. As she reached the top of the stairs, she heard Marcus's voice from the study. The door was slightly open. She paused. No, listen. Marcus was saying in a low, urgent tone. She's here. I don't know how much she knows. Clarissa frowned and stepped closer. There was silence. Then Marcus spoke again. I told you to handle this years ago. Now she's in my house. Clarissa's heart started to pound. He was talking about someone. Was it Bella? She keeps asking questions, Marcus continued. If she finds out what happened back then, he stopped and hissed, No, don't come here. Let me handle it. Clarissa backed away slowly, nearly tripping over the carpet. Her breathing was fast now. She tiptoed back upstairs, crawled into bed, and turned off the light, but she didn't sleep, not even for a second. The next morning, Marcus acted normal, chatting, sipping his tea, and scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. Clarissa watched him closely. Every smile he gave now felt fake. During breakfast, she casually asked, Did you finish your call last night? Marcus looked up. Yeah, just business. Late business, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. He shrugged. Client in the UK. Different time zone. Clarissa nodded slowly. Right. When Bella entered the room to greet them, Marcus froze for just a second. Just long enough for Clarissa to notice. Bella smiled politely. Good morning, sir. Morning, Marcus replied quickly, avoiding eye contact. Clarissa studied him. That hesitation, that discomfort. It was too obvious now. After Bella left the room, Clarissa asked quietly, Why don't you like her? Marcus looked up, defensive. Who says I don't like her? You barely speak to her. You act like she's poison. Marcus sighed and dropped his spoon. Because I don't trust that girl. She just appeared out of nowhere. And you're already acting like she's your daughter. Maybe she needs someone to act like a mother, Clarissa said sharply. What are you so afraid of? He stared at her. You think I'm afraid of a little girl? Clarissa leaned in. You said something on the phone last night. You said, she's here. Who were you talking about, Marcus? Marcus blinked. Were you eavesdropping? No, she said calmly. I was passing by, and I heard enough to know that you're hiding something. Marcus stood up, angry now. Stay out of my business, Clarissa. She stood too. This is our house. Our lives. If there's something about Bella you're not telling me, I'll find out myself. He shook his head. You always do this. Dig until you break everything. And you always hide until it's too late, she snapped back. They stared at each other in silence. Then Marcus picked up his car keys. I'm going to the office. He left without another word. Clarissa stood there, hands shaking. Her heart pounded not just from anger, but from fear. What happened in the past? What secret was Marcus keeping? And what did it have to do with Tina and Bella? That afternoon, Clarissa entered her sister's old room. It hadn't been touched in years. Dust covered the furniture, but the scent of Tina's old perfume still lingered faintly. Clarissa opened the wardrobe, searching through the boxes. She didn't know what she was looking for, but her instincts told her answers were here. She found a worn-out journal inside a shoebox. The front page had Tina's handwriting. For the day the truth needs to be remembered. Clarissa sat down slowly, her hands trembling. Maybe the past wasn't as buried as she thought. It had been a few weeks since Bella had moved into the house. She was adjusting well, no longer the shy, scared girl Clarissa had first met. Now, Bella had a quiet confidence, helping around the house, reading books, and even starting a small vegetable garden in the backyard. But as much as Clarissa had tried to push aside the thoughts about Bella's connection to Tina, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time she looked at Bella, she felt a mixture of love, concern, and confusion. One evening, as Clarissa sat on the balcony watching Bella tend to the garden, her best friend, Debbie, called. "Clarissa?" Debbie's voice crackled over the phone. "Have you thought about what I said?" Clarissa sighed. She knew exactly what Debbie was referring to. "No, I haven't. It's too much, Debbie. Bella's just a kid." "Clarissa," Debbie interrupted firmly. "This isn't about being nice anymore. That girl, Bella, there's something about her. I don't trust her. I think you need to find out who she really is. A DNA test will give you answers." Clarissa paused, biting her lip. She glanced over at Bella, who was now sitting on the grass, her head down. The same unease she had felt when she first brought Bella into the house crept up on her again. "I don't know, Deb. It feels wrong. She's already been through enough. If I do this, it'll ruin everything." "You're just scared of what you might find," Debbie said bluntly. "I'm telling you, Clarissa, you're letting her into your heart, but you're ignoring the signs. She could be connected to Tina. If she is, then you needn't know. And Marcus." Clarissa's heart skipped. "What about Marcus?" "I'm telling you, he's hiding something. This is your life, Clarissa. Don't let anyone else control it." Clarissa remained silent for a moment before sighing. "You're right. I'll do it." The next day, while Bella was in the kitchen, Clarissa took a deep breath. She walked into Bella's room and, as quietly as possible, picked up a hairbrush from a nightstand. She removed a single strand of Bella's hair and carefully placed it in a small plastic bag. Her hands trembled as she sealed the bag. This was not just about curiosity anymore. She needed to know the truth. Clarissa stared at the bag for a long moment before walking out of the room. She needed to send it to a lab, away from Marcus's prying eyes. But she felt a heavy weight in her chest. What if the test came back positive? What if Bella really was Tina's daughter? And then there was the question she couldn't ignore. Why hadn't Tina told her about this? 3 days later, Clarissa stood in her living room, staring at her phone as an email notification popped up. Her heart raced. She had received the results. She opened the email, hand shaking. DNA test result. 99.9% match. Bella is Tina's biological daughter. Clarissa's breath caught in her throat. The room spun as she sat down on the couch, her mind reeling. It felt as though everything she had known for years was unraveling in that one sentence. Bella was Tina's daughter. Tina's child had been alive all these years, and she had been right under Clarissa's nose. But how? Why had Tina hidden this from her? And why was Bella here now? Clarissa's hands were still trembling when she walked upstairs to the attic. She had just read the DNA results, and now the walls felt like they were closing in on her. She needed answers. She had to understand the full story. Why Tina had kept Bella's secret, and what had happened all those years ago. The attic had always been a place of mystery for Clarissa. It was where her parents had stored old belongings and things they never wanted to part with. The room was dusty, dimly lit, and filled with boxes that hadn't been opened in years. She pushed aside a few old crates and boxes filled with forgotten clothes and knickknacks. Her eyes scanned the clutter until she spotted an old trunk in the corner, hidden beneath a faded quilt. This was Tina's trunk. She knew it by the initials TL scrawled across the front. Clarissa took a deep breath and knelt beside it. The lock was rusty, but she managed to pry it open. Inside, there were stacks of old letters, photographs, and journals. One journal caught her eye. It was worn, the leather cover faded, but the gold lettering on the front still read, Tina's Story. She opened it, her heart pounding as she flipped through the pages. The handwriting was familiar, her sister's neat, elegant script. The first few pages were filled with Tina's thought about life and love. But then, Clarissa's eyes froze on a particular entry. I don't know what to do. I'm pregnant. And he's the last person I ever wanted to be involved with. He said he would take care of everything. But I don't believe him. I don't know who to turn to. Maybe it's time to leave. Clarissa's breath hitched. The words were clear. Tina had been pregnant. The father was someone close. She flipped through the pages quickly, reading more. I ran away. I went to St. Agnes shelter. They promised to help, but I'm so scared. I thought he loved me, but now he's denying everything. He's the father, and he knows it. Why is he doing this? I have to leave him for good. Clarissa's hands were shaking as she read. It was clear now. Tina had kept the pregnancy a secret, even from Clarissa. But who was the father? Who had betrayed her sister? Tina had written about the pain of carrying the child alone, the heartbreak of realizing that someone she trusted had abandoned her. The last entry was heartbreaking. I'm scared. The baby's due soon, and I don't know what will happen. If I don't make it, I want my sister to know the truth. Clarissa deserves to know who the father is. But I can't tell her now. She'd never forgive him. It's all my fault for falling for him. Clarissa's breath caught in her throat. The weight of her sister's words hit her like a ton of bricks. Tina had died shortly after this journal entry, after giving birth to Bella. But who had she been talking about? Who was the man who betrayed her so deeply? Clarissa closed the journal slowly, her mind swirling. She heard a soft knock on the door. Clarissa? It was Marcus. His voice was tight, but there was a strange edge to it. I'm home. Clarissa swallowed hard. She stood up, holding the journal tightly in her hands. She didn't have the answers yet, but she knew one thing for sure. Marcus knew something. And whatever it was, it had to be connected to the truth about Bella. The rain had started again, soft and steady. Clarissa sat in the kitchen, staring at the journal on the table. Her coffee had gone cold, untouched. The words Tina had written haunted her. If I don't make it, I want my sister to know the truth. She'd never forgive him. Her phone buzzed suddenly, snapping her out of thought. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. A calm voice responded. Is this Mrs. Clarissa Linton? Yes. Who's this? My name is Jordan. I'm a journalist. I've been investigating a case for some years now, and I believe you might be connected to it. Clarissa stiffened. What case? Tina Lawson. Clarissa's grip on the phone tightened. That's my sister. I know, Jordan said. I believe she didn't just die from stress or illness. There were details that were never reported, things that didn't add up. I also believe her child might still be alive. And recently, someone told me she's living in your house. Clarissa blinked. What? I don't mean any harm, ma'am. Please, can we meet? I'll explain everything. There was a long pause. Fine, Clarissa said. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., at my office. The next day, Clarissa sat across from a young man in a brown jacket. Jordan had kind eyes and a notepad filled with scribbles. Your sister, he began, was someone I admired. She volunteered at shelters. She was bright. But suddenly, she disappeared from public life. A few months later, she died. The story was that she fell sick after giving birth, but I never believed it. Clarissa folded her arms. What makes you say that? Jordan pulled out an old file. Tina visited St. Agnes shelter often. I interviewed the old matron there before she died. She said Tina was terrified during her final months. She kept saying, he'll ruin me. He'll take everything from me. Clarissa leaned forward. Who was she talking about? Jordan looked her in the eye. That's why I'm here. Do you know a man named Marcus? Marcus Linton? Clarissa's chest tightened. He's my husband. Jordan's voice dropped. Tina never mentioned his name, but she described him very well. Handsome, successful, connected to your family. And there were letters, one she never sent. She said the man who got her pregnant was someone close to her heart, but he rejected her. Clarissa's face paled. Jordan continued, I believe that man is your husband, and I believe the child she gave birth to is Bella, the girl you took in. Clarissa sat back, stunned. Jordan placed a photo on the desk. A faded picture of Tina holding a newborn baby. Clarissa picked it up with shaking hands. She kept that child's identity hidden, Jordan said. But I traced Bella to St. Agnes. There was no birth record, just a quiet placement into the system, like someone wanted to erase her existence. Clarissa whispered, because he didn't want anyone to know. Jordan nodded. I think you already know the truth, Clarissa. You just haven't said it out loud. Clarissa's eyes brimmed with tears. Everything made sense now. Marcus's discomfort, Bella's eyes, Tina's pain, the journal. It was Marcus. Marcus was the man Tina feared. That evening, the house was quiet. Clarissa sat alone in the living room, staring at the framed picture of her and Marcus on their wedding day. She barely recognized the joy in her eyes anymore. The front door opened. Marcus walked in, loosening his tie. You're home early, he said, smiling. Clarissa didn't respond. He paused. Everything okay? I spoke to someone today, she said calmly. A journalist. His name is Jordan. Marcus's smile vanished. He's been investigating Tina's death. Marcus froze. Why would you? He showed me proof, Marcus, she interrupted. Proof that Tina had a baby. That the father was someone close. Someone she trusted. Marcus sat down slowly, his hands clenched. Clarissa stood up and walked toward him. I found her journal. I found the DNA results. Bella is Tina's daughter. Silence. Clarissa whispered, She's your daughter, isn't she? Marcus looked up, guilt etched on his face. I didn't know she was still alive, he said, voice barely above a whisper. Clarissa stared at him, disgusted. You had a child with my sister? It wasn't like that, he said, quickly. Tina and I, it started before you and I got serious. We were close. Then things got complicated. She got pregnant. I panicked. You abandoned her, Clarissa spat. You rejected her. You let her die alone. Marcus stood, anger and shame mixing in his eyes. I didn't know she would die. I didn't even know she was pregnant at first. When she told me, I was scared. My career, our future, everything was at stake. So you left her to suffer while you married me? Clarissa's voice cracked. You let me mourn her without telling me the truth? I thought it was over, Marcus said. I thought the child had been adopted or lost. I swear, I never thought I'd see her again, until you brought Bella home. Clarissa took a deep breath, tears rolling down her face. That child grew up in pain, in the streets, while her father lived in comfort, lying to his wife, pretending everything was fine. Marcus stepped forward. Clarissa, please. She stepped back. Don't. I never meant for her to die, Marcus whispered. I didn't even know where the child went. I was stupid. I was a coward. But I'm sorry. Clarissa's voice shook with rage. Sorry doesn't fix this. You betrayed Tina. You betrayed me. You lied to my face for years. I still love you, he said desperately. Clarissa shook her head slowly. I don't even know who you are anymore. She turned away, her heart shattered. Marcus stood there, broken and silent. Clarissa whispered, You don't deserve her. You don't deserve either of us. That night, Clarissa went into Bella's room. The girl was reading on the bed, her eyes lighting up when Clarissa entered. Hi, Bella said softly. Clarissa sat beside her. Can I ask you something? Bella nodded. Do you remember anything about your mother? Bella looked down, then slowly pulled something from under her pillow. A photo. It was the same picture Jordan had shown her. Tina holding her as a baby. She was beautiful, Bella said. I don't remember her much, but I dream about her. Clarissa reached out and hugged her tightly. You're safe now, she whispered. You're not just under my care anymore. You're part of me. Bella smiled, confused but comforted. And for the first time in a long time, Clarissa felt the truth finally breathing in the open, even if it hurt like hell. That night, Clarissa went to Bella's room to check on her, but the room was empty. Bella was gone. On the bed, Clarissa found a letter. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Dear Auntie Clarissa, I didn't want to be the reason your marriage ended. You've been so kind to me. You gave me love, food, shelter. You treated me like your own daughter, even when you didn't know who I was. Thank you, but I think it's time I leave. I'll be okay. Please don't look for me. Love. Bella. Clarissa broke down, clutching the letter to her chest. No, Bella, no, she whispered. It had been 3 days. Clarissa hadn't eaten. She hadn't slept. She had reported to the police, driven around town, visited shelters. Nothing. Then one morning, a thought hit her. Tina's grave. She rushed out of the house and drove to the cemetery. Her heart pounded as she approached the familiar headstone. And there, curled up beside it, was Bella, sleeping on the grass, her clothes dusty, her face pale. Bella! Clarissa cried, running to her. Bella stirred, her eyes opening slowly. When she saw Clarissa, she sat up quickly, her eyes wide. I'm sorry, she whispered. Bella looked down. But now you know I'm Tina's daughter and his too. Yes, Clarissa said softly. And I don't care who your father is. What matters is who you are. The girl sniffled, hugging her tight in the cemetery. Who am I? Clarissa smiled through her tears. You're my daughter. Bella's eyes widened. What? You're not under my care anymore, Clarissa said, brushing Bella's hair gently. You're my daughter now, and I'll never let you go. Never. Bella burst into tears again and hugged Clarissa tightly. A few weeks later, Clarissa finalized the legal adoption. The papers were signed, stamped, and sealed. Bella Thompson. That was her new name. They had a small dinner to celebrate, just the girl and her. Clarissa cooked her favorite meal, okra soup and pounded yam, and set 2 plates. One for her, one for the girl. They said a prayer. Clarissa held the girl's hands across the table. To new beginnings, she said with a warm smile. Bella looked up at her. Thank you, Mum. Clarissa paused, then smiled. Say that again. Bella giggled. Mum. Clarissa's heart soared. She had lost a sister, but gained a daughter. And this time, she would protect her with everything she had, forever.